Are you checking in with yourself? Are you evaluating your habits? Or are you waiting for someone else to do it? And if you've been waiting for someone else, hopefully that last little bit that I shared, and man, I'm telling you, it's all love. I promise you it's all love. But come on, man. Like, at what point will you say, like, I wonder what would happen if I changed the complexion of my plate? I wonder what would happen to me mentally if I changed the complexion of my plate. I wonder what would happen to me physically if I changed the complexion of my plate. Going to the next level is about reinventing yourself. And I believe that for many of us, the reason we've been caught spinning our wheels for so long, we can't seem to get over the hump, is because we have willingly ignored things that we know. I believe this is, in all time, one of the most knowledgeable generations of all time. They can't pull the wool over your eyes like they used to. They might lie to you and give you misinformation, but you got information. And if you want to look, you can find it. So are you checking in with yourself?
You see, open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Best right now. Inspiration and perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live your dream. Your purpose now. Inspiration and perspective. Let's slay.
I want to correlate what we're going to talk about today to this idea of spring, this idea of new beginnings, and this idea of the bloom. The description for today's show, it says that anyone's growth is not complete until it is taking place, like until you're in action, like you're actually in the growth process. Like you have to get to that point of growth. And over the last few weeks, we started with this idea of like execution and consistency. And today I want to talk about mastery. And what it takes to truly take on the habits, the mindset, the level of personal accountability that comes with taking yourself to the next level. What does all that really, truly look like? I'm going to start off with this idea of like going from clarity to consistency. Now, one of the things we talked about yesterday in the Slayer Goals member meetup, we talked a lot about clarity. And the reason I think clarity is so important is because if you're not clear on where you're going, you just can't get there. And you guys heard me say that a lot. If you were at the masterclass, you heard me share this idea that clarity equals discipline, vision equals discipline. And that's where I believe all discipline comes from. If, most of us as adults, we have some level of discipline. If there's an area that we lack discipline, I believe it's more because we're not clear on what we want to accomplish versus, this complete lack of discipline. So to recap where we've been, one of the things we talked about is that resistance, any resistance that you feel is a signal that you're headed in the right direction, not a sign to stop. And I know often, when we feel direction, we wonder, well, is this the right thing I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing the right thing? But I believe that resistance is definitely the sign that you're pushing in the right direction. If I'm creating something and there's no resistance, I'm curious. I'm concerned in some ways, right? Because am I going in the right direction? The other thing that we talked about is that this concept, sometimes when we see people who are successful, we may say, well, they're just lucky. I've had, people say, Linnell, you just experienced, like you've been lucky in your life. And, this idea of luck, I do believe that there are things that are favorable that happen to us in our lives. But at the same time, I believe that luck is really when a person combines opportunity with preparation. You hit a lucky shot. Well, you got to be on the court to hit that lucky shot. And in order to be on the court, that means you have been preparing your entire life to play at that level, period. Oh, that was a lucky shot. Well, they were on the court, not all luck. And so that's the other thing that we need to be considering here, is that often what we consider to be this idea of luck comes through lots of preparation. So what are you preparing for? So you can hit your lucky shot. I do believe that there have been efforts to thwart the common man's creative ability, whether those efforts were overt or just happenstance. And I tend not to believe that things are happenstance these days. There are people who design, who are looking for ways to design to make the common man's life difficult. And I do believe that. In the early 1500s, the world was operating off the Julian calendar that came out of the Roman Empire. And back at that time, this would be April 1st, that's coming up here soon, would be considered the start of the new year. And so one of the reasons I say this is a phenomenal time to set goals is because one of the things that we talked about with Slayer Goals members yesterday was the law of frequency and vibration, and how that law aligns with our ability to create who it is that we are, and why our frequency and vibration has to begin matching what it is that we intend to create. And I find it interesting that the new year, based on the Gregorian calendar in the 1500s, was changed to January, which is, for most places in the world, the Western Hemisphere and most parts of Europe, the dead of winter. The dead of winter. And so we're celebrating this new year in the month of Janus. You can go look that up, what Janus means, Janus, which happens to be a pagan god. We're celebrating the new year in this month. And when you look at the percentage of people who are actually successful in the goal-setting process when it comes to resolutions and New Year's goals, it is very, very small. So small that I would say the majority of people stop trying. And so if that's you, and this is, maybe your first time tuning in and hearing me, you're like, what is this guy talking about? What I would say to you is this would be a good time to retest your goal-setting resolve. This would be a phenomenal time to actually say to yourself, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to create? Another way to think about this is, what seed do I want to plant? I was sharing with the Slayer Goals members yesterday that no matter how great of an agriculturalist I am, a gardener that I am, in January, if I stepped outside in Chicago with, let's say, a seed that has already been germinated, a shrub is coming out, and I put that in the ground, and I expected it to grow, unless I put a greenhouse around it and change the environment, it's just not going to happen. The vibration, the frequency, the earth is not ready for anything to grow. And we happen to be living on this earth during this time. And so more than anything, what I want to do is encourage you. If you're that person that, it's felt really difficult, maybe you did set the New Year's resolution, maybe you did set the goal, and it just didn't work out. You abandoned it. You forgot about it. You're remembering it now because I'm bringing it up. Now it's time. I'll say now might be the time to take another swing. Please take another swing. And if you don't know how to do that, if goal setting is not your forte, that's the reason I created the Slayer Goals membership, the Slayer Goals coaching community. Feel free to go to SlayerGoals.com so that you can learn more. At a minimum, download the book for free and read that. We talked about Frederick Douglass and how he said, I pray with my legs. You know, I prayed for 20 years and nothing until I prayed with my legs. And what we talked about in that first segment around the keys to unlocking your next level is that faith equals belief plus action. You have to be willing to take action to go to your next level. What I believe is that most people stay in the thinking phase way too long. I told a story yesterday about how I purchased something from a gentleman who wouldn't even shake my hand, right? And how, you know, I got into my head. And I didn't, you know, I already purchased the material, but I didn't use the material. Now, thank God, finally I did use the material, and it didn't matter whether the man shook my hand or not because I was able to leverage that material and go to the next level. I believe many of us, we stay in the thinking phase of our acceleration of what will take us to the next level way too long. And I'm going to tell you something. For the most part, it's not that we need more information. What we need is more execution. Like, you know what? Let me get started right now. And most of us are pausing saying we need more information. There's never been a time in the course of history where we've had more access to information than we have now. Like, there's never been a time. So now I'm going to tell you, if you think it's information, you're fooling yourself. What it is you need more execution in your life. How can you execute? How can you execute? One of my favorite quotes comes from Abraham Lincoln. He said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. When I think about creating something, that means to execute on it. You want to create your future? Then execute on it. What future do I want? And what actions does that require me to take? Execution. So that's what we talked about in the first segment. Then we began to talk about how the mind is such a valuable asset. And if you want to go to the next level, you have to guard it like you would guard treasures, right? There's nothing more valuable than a sound mind. I mean, there's nothing more valuable than a sound mind. And all you have to do is look at somebody who doesn't have a sound mind, look at somebody who's struggling with dementia or Alzheimer's, and you know the beauty of a sound mind, the gift and blessing of a sound mind. And how do we use our mind to get where it is that we want to go? I shared the Henry David Thoreau where he quote where he said that, you know, the idea is that we begin to create pathways in our minds based on the type of things that we think about. Like, I'm thinking about the things that matter to me so much, it begins to create a pathway in the trails of my mind where I know exactly how to get there mentally now. Because I've thought about it so much, I'm executing on it so much, I'm focused on it so much. The other thing we talked about in part 2 is how your attention, and your energy are the real currencies of your life. And if you want to go to the next level, those are things that you have to be very intentional about: your time, your attention, and your energy. And I'm afraid many of us aren't getting to the next level because that is what we can't seem to control. How other people use our time, how other people gain our attention, and how all of that ends up depleting our energy. The real currency that you have, time, attention, and your emotional energy. We talked about that towards the end of last year. The cost, like people not really truly understanding the cost of emotional currency. Now we're talking about blooming as we go into this next level. And my question to you is, if I ask you the question of what is your daily discipline, what would you say back to me? Like, what is the thing, like if you think about something that you encounter daily, your daily discipline, Like, what is that? What is your daily discipline? Your daily discipline, the thing that you do on a regular basis that supports you in going to your next level. There's a quote that I put on my refrigerator as a young man years ago. And that quote said, "Your success is hidden in your daily routine." Like, your success is hidden in your daily routine. Another way to say that is your success, or the lack thereof, is hidden in your daily routine. You want to go to the next level, and you're curious about what's getting in your way? Let me tell you something. Like, all you got to do is start investigating your daily routine. Like, how do I wake up in the morning? How do I hit snooze? Is how I start my day deferring already, procrastinating already? And then does that become the routine for the day, deferring and procrastinating? Like, how do you start your day? Even better yet, like, then what is your routine for eating? I was sharing with the members yesterday, like, the level of intention that I bring into just my diet. How do I break my fast every day? Every day. And I think sometimes we can get real lax with these type of things, like we're not thinking about it. I can guarantee you that if I don't break my fast in the way I like to or normally do, perfect example, I was having a breakfast meeting with a CEO, and I'm walking to the restaurant. I'm like, so I'm going to have a waffle today. That's how I'm breaking my routine. And the first thing I did was I pulled out my calendar to see what the consequence could be. If I start with bread and sugar, like, how is my day going to go? And I'm like, okay. It's a pretty smooth day. There's not a lot required of me today. I suppose that I could splurge and have, bread and sugar, which is what a waffle is, right? I suppose I could break my fast like this. And then I went to Friday to see, and if I break my fast like this today, how can I get back on point tomorrow? Right? So I'm not talking this idea of perfection. I love a good Belgian waffle too. You get where I'm going? What I'm talking about is this idea of intention, like operating with intention, not operating on autopilot, but operating in your life with a healthy level of intention. Like, what's the intent? Your success is hidden in your daily routine. How does your morning look? How do you open up your work? How long does it take you to actually get to work? I'm not talking about the drive. I'm talking about that pre-social media time before you open your email. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, right? That little bit of time where if you're sitting in your cubicle, the phone is in the palm of your hand, safely hidden, so you could turn it over if someone walks by, and you're just scrolling. By the way, I always tell this to CEOs and CHROs. There's research that basically says the majority of folks don't get started at work until about 90 minutes in. Like, most employers, they're not making any, like, there's no real productivity until about 90 minutes in. If folks start at 9, things don't get humming to 10:30. And here's the thing. You might say, well, that's no consequence to me, Linnell. I got paid either way. Yeah, but will that get you to the next level? That's the question. Will that type of behavior get you to the next level? And I'm going to tell you something. There's somebody coming in that they're like, okay, there are things that need to get done to ensure that I become the boss, right? That I get to the next level. And what I'm afraid of is all too often what ends up happening is that people, and instead of saying, I have a vision to be the leader of this department, I have a vision of getting to the next level and executing that way, they wait until the job opening shows up. And then they wonder why they didn't get it. Well, I mean, I work as hard as they do. Yeah, but there was a lack of intention. There was, you weren't concentrating on getting to the next level in the same way that your new boss was, that used to be your peer. And these are the type of things that happen, right? Your success is hidden in your daily routine. Your success is hidden in your daily routine. What do you eat for lunch every day? And as you begin to think about that, is that why your body shuts down at 2? You can barely think. Your eyes start to close in the meetings. Everybody sees that you have the after lunch nods, the itis. Like, you think that's going to get you to the next level. And I'm just giving you these are the real simple places that sometimes we overlook because we get so used to functioning that way that we don't realize that going to the next level requires of us that we actually begin to survey every part of our lives. Every part of our lives. Your success is hidden in your daily routine. Your success is hidden in your daily routine. How does the day end for you? How does the afternoon go? Do you step into another level of productivity, or are you so given to fatigue and sleep because of the heavy lunch you ate, the burger and fries? As a matter of fact, I was listening to this gentleman talk about the top 10 most unhealthy foods, and a burger and fries both are in the top 10. As a matter of fact, I believe fries are like number 5 and a burger was like number 4. And so you just can't be your best. You can't be your best. I don't care if they say it's 100% beef, which, I mean, by the way, most of it's not, right? That should scare you. It's just not going to get you where you intend to go. And I believe one of the reasons most of us feel stuck is because of the fuel that we're using or that we've been trying to use to take ourselves to the next level. You're not fueling up right. It's like getting into the NASCAR 500, the Indianapolis 500, and you putting 87 octane in the tank, and everybody else has got 93 and above. And then you're trying to figure out why they're passing you so fast, why they're moving around those corners so quickly. What's going on with my acceleration? It's the fuel. It's the input. Your inputs become outputs. We talked a whole lot about that yesterday. And then your success is hidden in your daily routine. What do you do every evening? How do you spend your evenings? Hours gaming. The average American is watching 3 hours of television when they get home from work. And think about that. By the time you get home, you get off at 5. If you get off at 5, let's say you get home at 6, you're settled at 6. That means from 6 to 9 is television. Some of us are eating too late, our resting heartbeat. We can't even rest well because our heart is beating too fast, trying to digest the food. We wake up fatigued. Your success is hidden in your daily routine. You want to go to the next level? You'll start paying attention to these things. That's where the bloom in your life begins to happen. That's where the bloom in your life begins to happen. So, Al, let me ask you this then. It sounds like you had a breakthrough into the next level. What's the intent for 2025 when you think about your business?
Of course, there's a minimum monthly income. That's how I set this thing up. So we do have to hit a number consistently for about 5 or 6 months. Okay. And that would be like my next step.
I got you. So can I offer you something?
What's that?
I completely understand the minimum monthly and from a business operating standpoint, operating expenses, et cetera. But have you thought about what is possible in terms of annual revenue over and beyond the minimum monthly where you say, go ahead. It's
not a minimum monthly. It's just like a functioning number.
Yeah.
And that does run into a yearly scenario.
Okay. But when you say functioning number, it kind of makes me think about surviving number. Like, is it an aspirational number or a surviving number?
No, it's a number that you would need to make profit and take care of everybody.
Okay. That sounds like a surviving number to me, brother.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I haven't identified it.
So my question to you is like, if what's the next level for you in revenue in the business? Like, you don't have to say it on the radio, but just something for you to be thinking about, Al, especially since the last time we talked, you've expanded. I'm hoping that the next time we talk in a few months, you'd be like, hey, man, I set the aspirational number and I'm hitting it.
Well, I got to hit these monthly numbers for the next 4 or 5 months for me to, quantify it. But maybe I'm still being resistant.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Let me put this in a number scenario for you, right? And this is how I think about it in my business. Okay. If I have to hit, let's say, $20K a month to hit payroll, like, do we have that charted from a financial perspective? Are we clear on that? Have we annualized it to understand, like, okay, this is what we need to achieve? Absolutely. And by the way, that $20K would include whatever profit is necessary for me to get paid, for everyone on the team to get paid, and for there to be some money put up for operating expenses, right? So we got the profit, all those kind of things. So that's one number, right? But what I'm talking about is then aspirationally, like, how are we growing the business? What new accounts will we take on that we don't have access to today? But because we're aspiring to $50K a month, we need to be thinking about that in our advertising. We need to be thinking about that in our customer interactions. Like, for instance, if I'm thinking about that in my customer interaction, instead of saying at the end of a job, hey, thank you for the business, I'm also saying, and do you know anyone else who could use our services, right? Because I have an aspirational number that is pushing me mentally to the next level when it comes to our financial revenue. So I'm kind of pointing to it that way. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I had to separate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know what our surviving number is, but I'm not playing the surviving game. I'm playing the thriving game. And so the number that I have in my mind is the aspirational number. Because if I miss the aspirational number, I always am over the surviving number. That makes sense?
Yep. Yes, it does.
All right. Does that support you?
It does, because then that gives me something to think about and really review.
All right, awesome, man. I hope to hear from you in the next 90 days. It seems like when you call me, like once a quarter, I hope to hear from you in the next quarter and see how things are going, brother.
I hope I have a good update. I'm not gonna hope. It's gonna happen.
I'm happy you caught that. I love the shift in language. You're not gonna hope. You will have a phenomenal update for not just me, but for the listeners. And by the way, if somebody has a plumbing issue, how they reach you, brother?
The American Drainage and Plumbing, 224-595-5927.
All right.
Look us up. We're on Google. You can look at us.
There we go. The first step towards that aspirational number. Maybe you'll get some phone calls. Appreciate you,
Amen.
brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good phone call. All right. Excellent. Yeah, man. He was operating one truck the last time we spoke. It had to be about 90 days ago. Yeah. So, and here's the thing. I love that right there as an example of how often we misread resistance. Because if you stay stuck and you allow that to take you out, he could say, well, that's the reason I shouldn't be a plumber. Like, you can go all the way the other direction. They robbed my truck. They took thousands of dollars worth of material. Why am I even in this business? But in this case, the brother doubled down, and what came out of it is an expansion, not contraction. And sometimes we experience resistance. We experience things that we feel is holding us back. But when you lean in and you execute, what you actually encounter as a result of the resistance is expansion. Because I believe that resistance serves as a way to refine us into who it is that we intend to be. So I love that, man. I love that. One of the things I think is important for us to understand is that most successful people aren't doing more. They're not doing more than you. they're doing less with high levels of intention. They're doing less with high levels of intention. I gave the Slay Your Goals members just a quick glance at my Friday. And I just kind of walked through all the things that I got done. Right? And they might be like, man, he did a lot. Right? And it's like, not really. I just moved with high levels of intention with the things that got done. There wasn't a lot of waste in the day. There wasn't a lot of, time that just kind of slipped away during the day. Most successful people aren't doing more. They're doing less with high levels of intention. Like they're focused. They're focused. Some years ago, I took a course by Stephen Kotler. It's called The Habit of Ferocity. And I took this course because one of the things he was talking about is like how to understand, like how to get into your level of flow. And what he talks about with flow, he's an author. He has some phenomenal books out there. And what he talks about when it comes to flow is that we all have a flow state. And that flow state is when you lock into a certain level of work and you're so ingrained in the work that everything else becomes invisible. And when you get to that point of flow, what your ability to deliver with that work product goes to a whole nother level. So what would often take somebody else hours to do if they were interrupted, constantly taking phone calls, looking at, phone alerts, text messages, answering emails, it would take them hours to do. You can not only do it in less time, but you can do it with a higher level of excellence because of the level of focus and flow that you gave it. Now, why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that because for some of us, going to the next level is going to become about our ability to focus and get into flow. Like, who do you need to say no to? Whose phone calls do you need to let go to voicemail? Like, you get where I'm going? Like, at what point do you begin setting boundaries up in your life? And these boundaries are your next level boundaries. Like, if I'm going to the next level, I can't chit chat with you every day at lunch. I should be reading a book. We heard Carolyn say she went from 64 to 75 books. How do you put away that many books? There has to be a certain level of focus. And, I'm imagining that one of my hacks for reading books is 10 to 20 pages a day. That's it. And when I'm reading, I'm not doing anything else. Like the phone calls come in, I'm like, I might glance. If it's not my wife, I was sharing with the Slay Your Goals members yesterday. That's the only person that gets through on demand. The only person that gets through on demand is my wife. And then sometimes I tell her, hey, babe, you called me twice. I love you. I do. And I got to focus here. So if it's not important, man, give me this moment, right? She'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, whatever, right? But like I'll even tell her, like I need to get into flow right now so I can take the work to the next level. So most people aren't doing more. Most successful people aren't doing more. They're doing less with more intention. I was having a conversation with Finn Friday. I promise Finn I'm not going to give away anything. But he was talking about this, right? Like, you know what? I need to narrow my focus. I have an objective, right? Most of you guys know attorney Ernest Fenton, right? You see him as successful. And we were having a conversation, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, where he was like, I need to narrow my focus. He's like, yeah, Linnell, I got to narrow it in. And I knew exactly what he meant. Like, makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense. He could have the same conversation with somebody else and they'd be like, something ain't going right. Right? Because they don't get it. But when you get it, I get why you're stepping away from that. You have to narrow your focus. He wants to get into a flow state. See something that he has began creating with intention come to completion. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Like, I'm going to say it again. Discipline, true discipline. Now, let me back up real quick. Sometimes, I read books and, I read Abraham Lincoln's autobiography. That's why I picked up this quote. And you read it, you be like, ooh, that's good. I wish I hadn't read it because I think I would have said it eventually, and then it could have been mine. Right? But I love this quote, and I want to break it down. Discipline, where does discipline come from? Right? If you know, I want you to say it out loud so your subconscious mind can hear it. Where does discipline come from? Discipline comes from clear vision, clarity, right? A clear vision. That's where discipline comes from. So if we were to rephrase Abraham Lincoln's quote, having a clear vision supports you with the level of discipline that is necessary to choose between what you want right now, right? What I want right now, it's morning time, it's 8:30, is eggs, bacon, and pancakes. That's what I want right now, right? And what you want most. What I want most is a healthy body, a long life, to feel phenomenal, to have the energy that I need to get through my days, right? That's what I want most. And when you have a clear vision, that supports you with the discipline to choose what you want most versus what you want now. Because I'm so clear on what I want most, I see what it looks like in my life. I see what it feels like to be an 80-year-old man that's moving and walking with young people and keeping up and not breathing deeply and like, we're going to take the stairs, let's take the stairs. I see what that feels like. I'm so clear about what that looks like in my life that when I smell the scent, the aroma of these foods that might want to break me, I'm so clear on why I shouldn't have it that I go, no, I tell you what, I'll take the steel oats and the wheat toast. I appreciate you. Because I'm clear on why. I'm clear on my why. And by the way, other people can be eating, I remember there was a time where saying no to pork was hard. Bacon? Are you kidding me? Like, and by the way, it's not because the taste of bacon left me. Like I thought it was nasty all of a sudden. Like the last time I had pork bacon, it was phenomenal. Let's be clear. And I used to get the thick bacon with the rind on it. Like, had more lean meat. And you cook that down on the Foreman grill. And I thought that was making it more healthy because I was losing a lot of the grease. And there was a lot of grease flowing off that thing. A whole lot of grease that the body don't know how to break down. That's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I thought it tasted amazing. You chew on that rind, you know what I'm saying? You put it there, put it on the plate next to your eggs. You finish, buddy, sop that up. Have a little syrup that's like kind of getting on your eggs and your bacon, a little sweetness, a little maple. Like, man, it's not because, I want to be clear with you guys. It's not because it didn't taste good. It's not because the experience of eating it wasn't enjoyable. The reason I stopped is because what I want most is far greater than the sensation of eating it now. Like, I'm so clear. I don't want parasites. I don't want worms. I don't want any of the things that come with that. I don't want to have to deal with the disease, the dis-ease that comes with that. I don't want to have to deal with the pain. I don't want to have to deal with the inflammation. I don't want to have to, so discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And if you're listening as you eat your pork bacon and I turn your stomach, I'm not sorry. Like that's, I'm not. I hope you scrape it off your plate. Most of us, so we're talking next level, right? And one of the reasons many of us don't go to the next level is because we look past the obvious. We look past the things that we know we shouldn't be doing, and we justify them in some capacity. Now, for my Muslim brothers and sisters, this is a mute conversation, right? Like this is, it's not something that's going on in your household. And if it is, then you already know, like, you got to pray and ask for forgiveness because you ain't doing the right thing. All right. For my, my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, same thing, right? Like nope, that's not even a conversation. And part of the reason it's not a conversation for them, and I'm talking to my Christian listeners, part of the reason, I don't really get into this kind of stuff, but, we have to do better. I mean, I got a friend that just went down with an open heart. He's okay. But, we got to do better, because then we'll say I eat healthy. But then that's part of the diet. That's not healthy eating. Like, it is like quantifiably, factually not healthy eating. And we'll look past these things and, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. I only had 2 slices. Things like that. And to justify these behaviors. So I'm talking to, where I was at was with my Christian listeners. There's a scripture in the New Testament that many Christians, me included, have used to justify our eating. And that scripture, I'm not going to get into the scripture itself, but we use that scripture, I bless the food. I bless the food. And I think it's different if you're a missionary and, because I believe that's the context of the scripture. Like you're out winning souls and they put a plate in front of you and it's not in alignment with the word. Because, by the way, like there's alignment in how we're supposed to be eating, right? It's very clearly documented how we're supposed to be eating. It's like, oh, well, that's the law. That's the old law. I'm saved by grace, right? Through the blood of Christ Jesus. And this is the excuse you will hear from a Christian in terms of diet, okay? I'm saved by grace. Okay. All right, that's fine. You're saved by grace. But half the time we're eating what we're not supposed to eat. You're not winning a soul. You're not sitting with somebody you're witnessing with. You're sitting with a bunch of other Christians. And it don't look good, man. And we're eating ourselves. And this is coming from love. Like we're eating ourselves to death. And we're excusing the law. Like, well, I don't have to follow that because I got the grace. And it's like, but here's where I'm going real quick with this. And I hope y'all not get mad at me. And if you are, it's because I love you. And I might lose followers because of this. But we got to get to a point where we are doing ourselves a service. This swine, like it's literally been called unclean. It's literally been called unclean. And then you can look up, you can just get online and say, let me see parasites come out of pork. Like you can literally see somebody pour vinegar and these horrible things come out. And many of us, we have a desire to go to the next level. And this is where I'm going with this. I'm getting somewhere. We have a desire to go to the next level, yet we're literally putting little demons in our body through our diet. Little demons being parasites and worms that are pulling us down, pulling our energy down, pulling our cognitive ability down, pulling parts of us down where we can't focus. We can't push our, we feel stuck. And I believe one of the reasons we feel stuck is right in front of us, and it has to do with our diet. Like you want to go to the next level, like you truly want to go to the next level, how bad do you want it? Do you want it so bad, whether you're mad at me or not right now, that you're willing to push the plate? And by the way, I'm not telling you not to eat. I'm just telling you, like, there are some things that have been scientifically proven that just aren't good for you. A pork chop is not good for you. There's nothing about it that is good for you. You put garbage, You put junk, you put feces, you put that in front of a pig, it will gobble it down. It will gobble it down. One of the reasons we don't eat dogs is because dogs will slurp up their own vomit. Like we see, you can look at the dog and say, that's not a good creature to eat because it kind of chews and gobbles up on anything. So it's not a good creature to eat, but then we'll turn and we'll eat a pig. I'm just giving you a place to look. I'm so concerned about our community and our health, man. It's and then here's the thing. You can take swine, a pig that, let's say, you raise. Now, you raise it, it's still going to eat anything, right? So it's around the house eating, like, get out that garbage, what I'm saying? It's eating whatever. You raise it. Let's say, okay, that might be a better situation. But that's not our situation because almost all of us, the pork that we are eating is sprayed with ammonia and nitrates and artificial flavorings that actually take the quality of the meat that is not high quality already because of where it comes from down to a whole nother level. So now it's not just parasites and worms. Now I'm dealing with carcinogens and things that combined with the parasites and worms will escalate me actually getting dis-ease in my body in the form of cancer. And so it's not even about going to the next level. It's about literally shortening our lives beyond maybe what the Creator had in store for us. Shortening our lives and then cutting off the purpose that he had, the impact we were supposed to have, the people that we were supposed to reach. Like, it doesn't, for me, on a personal level, right? And this is all Linnell's personal opinion with love. So you can reject it. You can be like, man, please don't talk about that again, whatever it may be. But the Spirit hit me. It was like, you stay on that. You hit that a little more, okay? We have got to do better. Like, we must. This is not a matter of not knowing. It's a matter of turning a blind eye to the things that we are addicted to. It's an addiction. And it's easy to look at somebody who's addicted to alcohol and go, oh, I'm praying for you. I hope God takes the taste of that out your mouth. It's easy to look at somebody who's addicted to an opioid, stick it in their arm and shake our heads and go, oh, my goodness, look at that brother with the shakes in the street. Oh, I'm praying for him. I want him to do better. God bless him. God bless him and his family. Right? It's easy to do that. You can look at somebody who's stuck on the green and it's just too much and they, and they can't hardly, they're just laid up and they're blasted out their mind. They can't move because of how high they are and they're not getting things done and go, oh, I wish that young man, I'm praying for that young man. I wish that he would, put those joints down. I wish that he would not let that cannabis take over his life. Oh, my goodness. Look at him being so addicted. And then we don't see it in ourselves in terms of what we put on our plates. So I love you, man. Somebody said add sugar. We're going to do one at a time. I wasn't even supposed to talk about that. That's not in the notes at all. It's the Spirit was like, hey, you go back to that. Don't just slide off that. Somebody needs to hear it. It might save their life. So I did. Are you checking in with yourself? Are you evaluating your habits? Or are you waiting for someone else to do it? And if you've been waiting for someone else, hopefully that last little bit that I shared, and man, I'm telling you, it's all love. I promise you it's all love. But come on, man. Like, at what point will you say, like, I wonder what would happen if I changed the complexion of my plate? I wonder what would happen to me mentally if I changed the complexion of my plate? I wonder what would happen to me physically if I changed the complexion of my plate. Going to the next level is about reinventing yourself. And I believe that for many of us, the reason we've been caught spinning our wheels for so long, we can't seem to get over the hump, is because we have willingly ignored things that we know. I believe this is, in all time, one of the most knowledgeable generations of all time. Like, they can't pull the wool over your eyes like they used to. They might lie to you and give you misinformation, but you got information. And if you want to look, you can find it. So are you checking in with yourself? Are you actually using this access to information in a way that's empowering you? Or is it just information? I mean, like what the conversation I had with Pat, are you executing on the information? I got a call to action as we end the show. Are you doing a self-audit? Are you doing a self-audit? What do you say you would do? Are you following through? What did you say you would do at the beginning of the year? This is a great time to revisit all that. Are you following through? Are you following through? If you say, Linnell, man, it's been 90 days. We're going into spring. I've already hit another level. That's awesome. Then what's the next level? Are you going to be the butterfly that leaves the cocoon, never to go back in the cocoon again? No more transformation? Just one level? You know, there are levels to this. What's level 2 for you? What's level 3 for you? What's level 4? Mastery is not about a moment. Mastery is not simply about a level. Mastery is about a mindset. What's your mindset? What's your mindset? Are you, do you have legacy thinking? Are you building something that will outlast you? Like, my children have never tasted pork. My prayer is that outlasts me, that I'm the last line of Harris's, that I'm the last one that put that on the plate, that it never comes back on the plate, that my son, that my daughter, that they teach their children to say, look, man, you know, we're God's children. We don't eat filth. We eat as best as we can. We honor the temple. We take care of ourselves. Like, that's what I'm talking about in terms, are you a legacy thinker? Are you building something that will outlast you? I was talking to my accountant on the phone. I was telling her, I was like, look, I want the money that God has blessed me with to not only touch my family, I want it to touch my grandchildren. I want it to touch my great-grandchildren. I want it to touch their children. I want, if the Creator allows us to continue, then I want that legacy to siphon all the way down. This is what Grandpa Harris used to say. This is why we don't do it. If you have questions, then look to the Word. That's how he aligned himself. If your goals matter to you, if your goals are about taking you to the next level and you know that's where the Creator intends for you to go, why are you negotiating with yourself? Why are you justifying the level that you're on? Like, you already have clarity. This is where the self-audit comes in. If your goals matter to you, if your vision matters to you, why are you negotiating with yourself about it? Well, I'll get started tomorrow. Why are you negotiating? Well, I didn't spend my time yesterday in the way that I wanted to. Maybe, Monday I'm a kick. No, why are you justifying that? What's your next level? Do you have a desire that is so deep to go to the next level that there's an urgency? There's an urgency there. Or are you going to let, yourself just kind of kick the can until One day you wake up and you have regrets about all the things you didn't do and all the information that you had that you never executed on.
I want to leave you with this, which is to go to the next level, no sugar, but much exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And above all, if you don't understand anything and can't grasp it or deal with it, ask your creator for its best.
I love
Trust
that.
in that. Move on that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Like, make it personal. Reconnect with. I love that, Mike. Connect with your creator for yourself, and ask the question. That's very powerful because he's right. At the end of the day, who am I? I'm just a voice. I'm doing the best I can to live out my purpose, to support our community in the ways that we need it. But that don't mean I got it figured out. And I was telling the Slayer Goals members, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I could call it wrong. So you check in for yourself. And I'll always say, don't trust me. Do the homework. Look it up. See if I'm telling the truth. Like, question everything. I say that. Question everything, including me. Like, is something really wrong with that? I don't believe pork is bad. I'm going to look it up. Look it up. Do your research. Do it for yourself. Don't just listen to me. So I love that, man. And it is about sustainability. It is about sustainability. Our children, the next generation is incredibly important. And one of my fears is that we're so focused on surviving right now that we're not thinking about legacy. Young people aren't thinking about their children, thinking about their education, partly because they don't have the maturity to raise a child. They're still children. And so we're losing another generation, man. And those are the kind of things that concern me. And then you look at the circumstance and conditions, not just of the environment, but of everything around, the food, etc. It is so critical that those of us that can go to the next level do, so we can have the proper impact through purpose on the rest of our community and on the rest of the world. And I believe that. I believe that with every part of my being. I count it a privilege to be able to use my voice from a place of purpose. I take it seriously. It matters to me. I love you. I love the community. I want to, like anything that I said, if it offended you, I hope it offends you into action. I hope it offends you into execution. I hope it offends you into understanding. I believe that all offense is due to a lack of understanding. And as my understanding deepens, as my wisdom broadens, that I come into an understanding and a knowledge that allows me to no longer be offended, but often thankful. There are things that people have said to me over the years that I walked away offended. And when I look back on it now with a deeper level of knowledge and understanding, I'm grateful for it. I'm better for it. In the moment hearing it didn't feel good. I can remember, man, I was at an event and one of the listeners said, man, I love your show. He said, but you got to do better in your language. You have anchoring words, and it makes you hard to listen to sometimes. And I'm like, who's this dude? Man, who's this? But you know what? I went back and I listened to the show, and I noticed I had anchoring words, and there was an opportunity for me to be better. And so I made the commitment to get better. And because I'm better, I believe my voice has reached more people. More people are willing to listen. And so sometimes you hear things that don't feel good going down. You kind of gag on it when you first try to swallow it. That's okay, because, he was right. He was right. I did the work. If he's listening, I appreciate you. I thank you. And that's what it means. I mean, it came from a place of love. Still didn't make it sweet. You get where I'm going? And I hope for more than anything, you guys understand that that's where I'm coming from. quick recap. Part 1 of going to the next level was the awakening, clarity and purpose. Part 2 was the growth phase, breaking through resistance. And part 3 was the bloom. It's spring. Are you going to plant the seed and execute and step into a new level of mastery? I love you guys. I hope that you use these keys to unlock your next level. Thank you for watching Inspirational Perspective. If you love this show and you want to see more content like this, you can go right here. And if you like this subject and you want to see much more content that we have available for you, just click the button here. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to watch the show live, 7 a.m. every Sunday morning on WVON Radio, or you can catch it right here on YouTube or Facebook.com/Coach Linnell Harris. Be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can get more content just like this to you.